But I think that's an important thing for other travelers to think about is you don't always have to stick to the plan.
Yeah, our plan definitely changed over time.
Well, and it sounds like it, adapted based on looking at, the big picture. It's like, okay, I can either do a 13-week assignment in Alaska now, or like you said, take off 3 months and, go to Alaska for a month if you wanted to and just really go as a tourist.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the couple of things is that, being flexible and adaptable has probably helped you be able to find those, go to the different cities that you could both get jobs. Or like you said, you might prefer outpatient, but in this instance, I'm going to do home health and you're going to get an outpatient. Have you all ever worked at the same facility?
Yeah, we have probably about half of our assignments have been at the same facility, which is there's pros and cons to it, especially if you're living in a camper full time together anyway.
That's what I was thinking. That's a lot of time.
Spending every waking hour together is interesting, but we did all right with it.
Yeah, we found as a PT pair, it's a little more common to see two PT jobs that they need somewhere. I think for SLPs, you're typically the only SLP at your facility. I don't know a lot of SLPs that travel as an SLP pair. I have met some that the SLP has a significant other that doesn't do therapy, or the significant other is of another discipline. And we have seen that before where maybe the same hospital will need a PT and an OT and an SLP all at once, or at least within the same vicinity. So I think it's pretty doable. Of course, the job market's not quite what it has been in the past right now, but in our past several years of being travel PTs, it wasn't too hard to find two in the same area or even in the same facility.
Yeah, I think one thing that helped us too is that we almost always look for jobs in rural areas for a variety of reasons. One, most of the time we were in the fifth wheel camper, so we needed a campground nearby, and there's more campgrounds in rural areas. And then the other thing was cost of living is always very low in rural areas, so saving a ton was easy that way. And for some reason for us, we've actually found more travel jobs in rural areas than cities anyway. So finding two in the same location, sometimes these places are very underserved and they need a ton of therapists there. So they're more than willing to accept two.
That's really cool. And, thinking about the job market and where you can get pair jobs, it sounds like in PT, there's a lot of outpatient opportunity, which is really awesome. And in the SLP world, what we see a lot is whole groups of friends will go to one school district together. And so it's really interesting kind of thinking about how the job market relates to different disciplines, but also I love how knowledgeable it sounds like you both are about the job market. And I know that at least from, experience and hearing from people that working with a recruiter really does give you that insider look into the job market, and even thinking about which states have more opportunities in the setting that I'm looking in is really just such a smart way to think and invest in your education that way so that you can kind of guide your career and grow it like that. But also another thing I love that you guys said was thinking about what are your most important priorities when you're thinking of which job to pick. So is it setting? Is it being together? Is it location? Is it pay? And it sounds like for you both, a lot of it was pay and being together. And then if you can also get that setting in there, that would be great. But that flexibility piece on some of the factors and then the non-flexibility on other factors is just, I think, a big concept to wrap your head around when you're thinking about travel therapy, because the options could be almost debilitating sometimes with how many different places you could go.